Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. A bit of a choppy day out there that gained clarity into the close, and that's because everything aligned as far as all of our major sectors hitting the low of the day at the same time, and we know that that is the most confident that the bears can be. It was notable rejections from the tech sector and the NASDAQ failing to change the daily trends bullish. Now we're looking back down at support and some key levels that must hold, otherwise the bears are going to take back over in the short term. Let's check out the charts. All right, so to start it off, today was one of the choppiest days that I can remember in QQQ for the first half, and I had no edge as far as what to expect. And if you look at the 5-minute time frame, we just had a bearish start, V-shaped to a new high, double bottom, that was clear, new high of the day, a 5-minute higher low, lower high, big drop, just right here midday. It just got real choppy for me. And what was going on underneath the hood, I was aware of just watching individual tickers, and some of the largest holdings in QQQ are Apple and Amazon. If you look at Apple on the morning, bearish start, pretty much a double top at the high of the day, back down to the low of the day, new high of the day. So a lot of volatility there. And Amazon was doing the opposite. Amazon was all bull. So I was watching Apple as the weakest major tech name on my screen and Amazon as the strongest. And so that was a tug of war that was going on. And again, if you're looking at, I haven't looked at the QQQ holdings recently, but I believe they're still number 1 and number 2. So if number 1 and number 2 are doing different things, things get choppy as a whole. So that was standing out, but we did finally gain clarity. So the whole morning I'm just saying, okay, what time frame can I find clarity on this intraday action? And finally a half an hour equilibrium shaped up where we had our double bottom at the low of the day, high of the day, higher low, lower high, double bottom held the higher low, lower high, and then we rolled over into the close. So that was a very clear bear break of 318.50 to lead to the last leg down into the close. What we're watching from here is, first off, a notable rejection so far. Inability to change the daily trend. And again, if we look at our fib levels, let's go to the NASDAQ futures. The size of the pullback was more than 50%. Again, that favors tightening range as opposed to continuation. It doesn't mean continuation can't happen, but if we're going to see continuation happen, generally we need increasing bull volume for that to take place. So we pulled back over 50% of the bounce, and now we have the setup for a potential tightening daily range. It's not game over for the bulls. Today was just a loss. They rejected pretty hard underneath resistance, and we also lost the 4-hour higher lows. So I'm watching overnight. On any bounce, we're just looking for an hourly lower high. Can the bears follow through and break the low of today's candle, convincingly setting a daily lower high, which would then give us an equilibrium? So if that happens, if bears get any follow through overnight, we set the daily lower high. It is then all about the low of Friday as a must hold level. If that level holds, it keeps the bulls in the fight for the potential of a break. If that level breaks, we just continue the downtrend. And just like that, we're looking back at our low when we were pretty notably fearful in the market as a whole. So it's all about the low of today, tomorrow, as to whether it's a convincing daily lower high being set. S&P 500, 4-hour time frame, failed to break resistance and broke support. We confirmed a 4-hour downtrend. So it's looking like SPY may be giving us a daily lower high as well. And again, the low of Friday is a key short-term level. If the low of Friday breaks, you could say that SPY is confirming a little daily downtrend. And again, from there, didn't establish a ton of support on the way up because we V-shaped bounced, and we will be looking back down at the low, a long ways away from that low. But again, breaking the low of Friday is definitely another point in favor of the bears. IWM, notable sell-off in the small cap names today. Lower high every day, essentially every day, besides a couple pennies here, but 6 days in a row. And again, we're looking back at the low, 207.21. Just like that is very quickly coming into the picture. We are still 4% above that level, and I would expect it to hold at least initially. But when we do bounce, we will be scouting a daily lower high, again, due to the size of the pullback. The pullback started healthy as far as retracement levels are concerned until today, because it started with a pullback of 40%, and now today we're looking at 65% plus of a retracement. So big pullback in IWM. The financial sector continues to pull back. Again, we got the insight from the energy sector and the oil itself, starting weekly consolidation, and now XLF has been doing nothing but following. And I exited all of my XLF short today because I'm going to be scouting bullish tomorrow if I get a gap down open. I would love a gap down open in XLF because I want to play airliners. So airliners are doing what XLF is doing, high on FOMC day and 3 days of pullback. Same thing for XLF. And we're still looking for a daily high or low. I'm looking at 2412 as a key level, and I'm looking at that level to initially hold. But look at the hourly RSI into the close today. We're just seeing a little bit of a bounce, maybe cooling it off again. But the hourly RSI was down at 20, and it's just absolutely crushed. I want a gap down in the airliners to look for a short-term oversold bounce play tomorrow. UAL, hourly RSI got down to 13. And again, if we gap down, or if we have a weak open to try and bottom fish the low of today, I'm watching airliners for a short-term bounce. I'm just going to be looking to play the hourly low or high. And then we'll watch to see can the bulls confirm an hourly trend change. But for me, it's just looking for the hourly oversold bounce. So I know there's a significant correlation between the airliners and XLF. I know the narrative has been money. And Jim Cramer got it right. Give him props, whether you like him or not. You know, when he said that, there are often times where CNBC or Cramer will say something, and I will then say, because I had that same thought, but now I'm not as comfortable. But when Cramer was talking about shifting back out of these laggard sectors, I was definitely on board with that and on the same page. So we're seeing money leave. We saw money leave tech and go into laggards. Financial, airliners, hotels, casinos, and now we're seeing money leave those laggards. And bulls are hoping it goes back to tech, but today it didn't. So keeping a close eye on things. But in the short term, airliners oversold bounce watch, financial sector oversold bounce watch tomorrow. We'll see if we get it. All depends where we open as far as what I'm going to be doing. So 6 to 7 a.m. is when I establish my game plans. If we open higher, it's a much different game plan than if we open lower. So why try and guess right now what we're going to see when I don't have to, and I can just get the answer tomorrow morning. Healthcare, look at this hard rejection. So we were noting how the healthcare sector looked great for the bulls and was going to potentially become a leader on this bounce. It is now a quadruple top, and if we break the low of yesterday, that is a win for the bears. It is a rejection and a failure to change the daily trend after getting this close to doing so. So again, the clear, I give analogy of correlations like currents in a river or ocean, whatever, and I have a video on YouTube about that, but today was just swirling currents until the last 90 minutes, and all of those currents then aligned. And that swirling current then became a raging river and clear with this pullback. Every major sector at the low of the day at the same time, that ignites the volatility sector bullish. And what I'm watching is, does XLV break the low of Friday? Does XLF start a bounce to try and prevent from all of our major sectors hitting the lows at the same time? And again, the most important for me is, does the NASDAQ hold the low of Friday? No. Yes, Friday. Biotech sector, look at that weakness. Yesterday, we looked good for changing the daily trend. All right, let's test it tomorrow. We're on the verge of a key break. And then it just absolutely collapsed this morning. Look at this dump. 5-minute RSI was down in the single digits. I played this oversold bounce and didn't really go anywhere. Pretty much a small loss. Scaled in, forget exactly where, but in the mid to upper 141s was my second scale in. My first scale in was maybe 143. And I exited 3/4 of my position on this bounce because, again, it was just not confidence building. Put my stop under 141, stopped out of the last quarter, and it did end up being a small and very acceptable loss. But it was a very notable red day. And even on this previous drop, I'm not sure we had any days down over 5%, which is what we saw today. A couple days were close to it. But again, what does this chart show me? It shows me bulls failing on every single bounce attempt. Big bounce, great, prove it. Nope, rejection, break of support. So QQQ bulls are looking at this chart and saying, please don't do that. Please do not break the low of Friday and put the bears back in complete control, because now the only thing that XBI is looking at is 128.44, that low, and the daily lower highs consistently being set. So we'll be watching the biotech sector for an hourly oversold bounce tomorrow if we were to gap down open. SMH, rejecting from daily resistance, breaking the low of yesterday, daily lower high is set. Again, if the semiconductors follow the biotech sector and break the low of Friday and the NASDAQ hasn't done it yet, that increases the odds that the NASDAQ will do it as well. So SMH, 228.80, key support. If that level breaks, back in the lower high, lower low pattern and back to looking at the low of the dump. Solar, MJ, and EVs continue to be a little bit weaker. Maybe not EVs as much today, but you look at solar, and again, this bounce has proven nothing to bulls at any point. It proved a big bounce, absolutely, 20+%, but if you cannot change the trend, bears are just going to pile right back in. You have to force bears to cover with higher lows and higher highs. Lower high, lower high, lower high, and all we're doing now is looking back at 86.01 and 80.80. So again, just fading back down towards the low of the dump. USMJ, big drop today. Played an oversold bounce here, but 40.80 is back in the picture, and we are on the verge of confirming a weekly downtrend. Not on the verge, but if 40.80 breaks, we confirm a weekly downtrend, and we see monthly consolidation for the first time in a very long time. And it will be a notable shift in momentum from the bulls to the bears, this head and shoulders. We've been watching it for a while, and that is shaping up. The bounce I played today, so here was a little bit of a clue from other sectors. So we had a 5-minute bear flag here. I made an entry at 43.30, which was the low of the day right here at this point in time. And very interestingly, my market buy was filled at the bid, which was odd. We then bounced, and I said, okay, that looks like a 5-minute bear flag. I don't want to try and catch a falling knife. Put my stop under 43.30. Stopped out, loss of 4 pennies, which is insignificant. I then recognized, we're not getting any follow through. I jumped right back in at 43.27 on this bounce. Why did I jump right back in after a bear break? Because APHA, Canadian MJ, earlier in the day had a 5-minute bear flag confirm, and that was the low of the day. XLF at that point in time had a 5-minute bear flag confirm, and that was the low of the day. So I had those two examples fresh in my brain because I watched them happen an hour or two previously. So I was watching for a 5-minute bear flag, and it didn't do it in MSOS because these other tickers did it. These patterns were just fresh in my brain to keep me watching for a bear flag confirmed with no follow through to mark the bottom. And fortunately, that was the bottom on MSOS. And from there, it was just a day trade flip for me. So 43.27, and I sold it just under 44. Maybe a little bit, maybe 43.80s. Either way, nice oversold bounce play. What else we got? The VIX. So daily bear flag, trying to confirm, but bulls are trying to see. We did drop to a lower low here, and bulls are hoping that it is a bear break with lack of follow through. Have to get over the high. Again, the high of Friday here is key, just like the low of Friday is key on so many individual sectors for me. And you can see that. When did the bulls take off? 2:10 p.m. And what happened at 2:10 p.m.? Maybe not right at 2:10, but around 2 to 2:30 or so is when all of our sectors hit the low of the day at the same time. That is the volatility sector. Big flashing alert when that happens. Dollar, close to confirming continuation. Daily downtrend confirmed with zero follow through means zoom out and scout a potential flag. It's a weekly bull flag trying to confirm. All we've got is 92.50 resistance. The further we bounce on this weekly time frame, the more likely it is that the bulls will be able to set a monthly high or low once we top out. And again, 6-month time frame, equilibrium. And the further we go up, the more likely our 6-month high or low has been set. We will need a monthly trend change to be real confident that that is the case. Metal's still weak. Gold breaking the low of the last couple days. Gold is definitely continuing to hold up better than silver, but gold is looking at the low of the FOMC day. Could gold be a weekly bear flag? Absolutely. The burden of proof is on the bulls to prove to us that it is not a weekly bear flag, which means we got to get back over the high of 1756. Silver is confirming, no, not yet, 2483. So we are less than 1% from confirming a weekly bear flag. From there, still looking at a monthly uptrend on silver. Anything above 2189 is a monthly high or low. And again, don't get caught up in narratives, because since the silver squeeze has started to gain traction on social media, it has been nothing but bears. And gold is even gaining against silver. So gold with zero narrative about a squeeze is stronger than silver over the last few days. And there are a lot of people that are trading silver based on a silver squeeze narrative, and they are all in the red. Miners gave us a clue yesterday. Remember how it was a bit unusual that miners closed at the low of the day while the metals were not near their lows and SPY was not near its low. And here is a big dump following through from that. Miners give clues on metals more than I've seen, I don't know how to word that, but more than many other sectors and instruments that correlate to each other. Support from here, 47.39, and then the low. Could this be a weekly bear flag? Yes, that is possible. The bulls would have to hold the low and break 49.25 to prove to us that it is not a weekly bear flag. Oil, daily bear flag confirmed. Certainly stood out yesterday. And there's your follow through. So that does not help the energy sector. We're still looking for a weekly high or low with tons of space for it to form, but there's no sign of it. We'll watch the 4-hour downtrend as a guide. Our new daily lower high is 62.04, and the next support level is 57.06. And again, a lack of support established on the way up. You break 57.06 and there is not much there. Certainly I'll be interested if the daily RSI gets oversold while scouting a weekly high or low. But not yet. Natural gas is a daily bear flag shaping up. Burden of proof is on the bulls to prove that it is not a bear flag, but right now it has that shape. And if we lose the 4-hour high or low, odds of a daily bear flag will increase. So that is where we stand. So in the short term, watching the airliners for a bounce tomorrow, depending on what the setup is. Ideally, a gap down, get as extended as possible. NASDAQ, low of today is key. If low of today breaks, then convincing daily lower high is set, and we then have a tightening range to be watching. And then from that point, low of Friday is the must-hold level. What else we got? Some oversold bounces, key support level. We know what the bulls have to do. Confirm daily trend changes to prove anything to us. So the NASDAQ bulls could save things. You know, if we see a bounce and change the hourly trend bullish overnight, then that will definitely be a big win for the bulls in the short term. So we'll see what tomorrow's setup is. Definitely cautious out there. Our risk on assets, Bitcoin and the MJ sector. MJ sector is giving more red flags than Bitcoin currently is. But Bitcoin's close to seeing weekly consolidation begin. And knowing that it hasn't seen any monthly consolidation in many hundreds of percent, just cautious out there. All right. One day at a time. And we'll see you tomorrow. Do good things. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. Party time. Yesterday in the other pond I saw two different kinds of wood ducks, the ones that have the bright red on the head for the males, and they swooped in, and then I saw a hawk swoop in 2 seconds behind them, and it looked like the ducks were just diving in for a safe haven as they were being chased. Duck is a success.